I asked ChatGPT to help me conduct a Bible study between the Avengers and Winnie the Pooh. And this is what happened. So I paired up, first of all, Iron Man and Eeyore. And that was an interesting pairing. He resembles the archetype of a jerk with a heart of gold, and then Eeyore is, well, Eeyore, you know? One thing that I think of when I imagine these two together is that scene in Infinity War.
Where's your gun?
I'm having a thing.
There's no time for a thing. That's the thing right there.
That's how I imagine these two would interact, but I put them together, and the reason ChatGPT put them together was because of Iron Man's high energy and optimistic personality contrast with Eeyore's more subdued and realistic outlook. And the combination would explore an interplay between boundless enthusiasm and pragmatic realism, which balances the extremes of exuberance and the acknowledgement of life's challenge. And the verse in the Bible that they came up with together was, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." This actually encapsulates them perfectly because Iron Man kind of resembles that cheerful heart, and then Eeyore with that sort of crushed spirit. And so this is Proverbs 17:24 if you're curious, but here's the philosophical insight. Where Iron Man's exuberance meets Eeyore's realism, it highlights the importance of finding joy even in challenging circumstances, as it can heal and uplift the spirit. Well, isn't that profound? Next up, we have Captain America and Tigger. Well, that's an interesting combination because Captain America is very much a stoic, kind of like steadfast, righteous individual, and then we got Tigger, who's this sort of like kind of like the Iron Man of the group. He's very like boundless in energy. But let's see what verse they came up with here. We got Isaiah 40:31. "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." You know what's interesting is I imagine Captain America and Tigger's friendship would be very similar to Iron Man and Captain America in that, like, Tigger and Iron Man kind of have a similar sort of boundless, enthusiastic personality. But let's see why ChatGPT put them together. So Captain America is very disciplined and grounded, which is I can't pronounce. Here's the life lesson. Captain America's steadfastness combines with Tigger's energy, emphasizes the power of hope and endurance, allowing individuals to rise above challenges. Okay, now we got Thor and Rabbit. The Bible verse they came up with together was, "Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful servants or stewards of God's grace." This is 1 Peter 4:10. You know, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know a lot about the character Rabbit. I mean, I didn't really watch Winnie the Pooh growing up, but something tells me that they're more alike than I think. So let's see why ChatGPT paired them together. Thor's strength and Rabbit's resourcefulness make for an interesting pairing. The intention is to explore the concept that strength and resourcefulness, when united, can contribute to a greater purpose, emphasizing the idea of individual gifts for collective benefit. Life lesson: Thor's strength aligns with Rabbit's resourcefulness, promoting the idea that our unique gifts are meant to be used for the betterment of others and the world. Next up, we got Hulk and Owl. Well, that's an interesting one. I know Owl's like the tame, stoic one, and, well, Bruce Banner's got like a conflict between two personalities. So I would love to see Owl interact with Hulk and see how that goes down. Like, how would they communicate with one another? I don't know, but let's see what verse they came up with. We got 2 Timothy 1:7. "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Interesting. Well, here what comes to mind is because of Owl's sort of proclivity towards wisdom and Bruce Banner's sort of timidness, I wonder if that kind of like opposingness in personality would actually kind of bring each other to a sort of stasis of profundity. So for example, with Bruce Banner, because he's very much reserved, I don't know if you remember that in the first Avengers movies, but he's very like reserved. And then Owl, I think kind of that tame mentality combined with his sort of like stoic proclivity would maybe open up the eyes of Bruce Banner as far as his personality goes. But what's the life lesson here? Hulk's raw power combined with Owl's wisdom emphasizes that fear should be replaced with love, strength, and a clear, sound mind to navigate challenges. Okay, so it's basically saying that like whatever we fear we have in ourselves or of the world, that we pursue that or overcome that first with confidence and then exude that confidence through love. Next up we have Black Widow and Piglet. Now, this is fascinating because I remember Piglet being like a very anxious kind of character, and Black Widow is kind of like a, hey, let's just see what happens. Like a, you know.
You sure about this?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Like the complete opposite of what Piglet is, because Piglet's like a very like, oh, let's maybe not do that. So let's see what verse ChatGPT highlights their personalities with. We got Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. This is interesting because this insinuates that Black Widow would be the kind of character or sort of role model for Piglet, in getting Piglet to kind of like grow and be like, hey, you gotta like chill out more. Let's just like live our lives in some extent. But why did ChatGPT put them together? Black Widow's courage meets Piglet's timid nature. This combination explores the theme of courage in the face of fear, highlighting that strength can be found even in the most unlikely places, encouraging individuals to overcome their fears. Black Widow would probably play like an older sister role, encouraging Piglet to be a more confident individual, which would be an interesting dynamic to see. They should totally do a crossover. Now, for the last pairing, we have Hawkeye and Winnie the Pooh, which is, I mean, knowing how Hawkeye is, he's kind of a, I want to be left alone, and Winnie the Pooh is kind of a main character. Well, he is a main character, but it would be interesting to see how they would interact. Like, I wonder what they would talk about. Anyways, Proverbs 9:10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. You know, I'm not sure exactly what to make of that, but I imagine that because of Pooh's kind of simplistic nature, and then Hawkeye's sort of like kind of stoic personality in some sense, that they would have a very deep conversation. And so I imagine that they would just talk about like very, very deep and personal things. At least that's just what I can come up with on the spot. With Hawkeye's precision and Winnie the Pooh's simplicity, this pairing emphasizes that wisdom begins with humility and simplicity. Interesting. Encouraging individuals to find profound insights in the unassuming aspects of life. Yeah, I can see that. I think the contrast in personalities, each character would play their own respective and necessary role. Well, as profound as that was, I thought to myself at some point, well, this isn't weird enough for me. And so I thought, why don't we add a 13th individual and put all of their minds together to come up with a final closing life lesson here. And I thought, who none better than the one and only Albert Einstein to join us in our Bible study here. And so I had ChatGPT come up with a quote, and the quote from Einstein goes as follows. It's, in the grand cosmic design, we may not comprehend every detail, but trust that there's an underlying order guiding us toward a future filled with possibilities and hope. And the corresponding Bible verse was, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. That's Romans 8:28. As far as the collective life lesson goes, in the tapestry of existence, the threads of simplicity, righteousness, uniqueness, vulnerability, resilience, and wisdom, we find a divine purpose. Embrace the journey, for in all aspects of life there is a greater design unfolding, leading us toward a future filled with goodness, hope, and boundless possibilities of love. In other words, in this cosmic story of life, each of us have our part to play in. We're written in this story, and you need to be able to harness the capacity to know what you're good at, to know what you love, to be confident in what you do, and live a life of love. With that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. God bless, and get out there and make better happen daily.